this lecture in our educational psychology series. Previously, we learned humanism in education goes beyond grades. It develops the whole student's mind, emotions, relationships and potential, shaped by Maslow and Rogers. Today, we will explore how to apply these principles through personal, inclusive and motivating lessons, offering choices that inspires genuine engagement and growth. Let's move from theory to action and create learning spaces where every student feels valued, inspired and ready to grow humanism in the classroom. In humanistic education, the focus shifts from teacher-centered instruction to student-centered learning, where the needs, interests and voices of students take priority. Humanist pedagogy is grounded in student autonomy, open dialogue and development of the whole child. It moves beyond the narrow focus on academic content to nurture social, emotional and personal growth alongside intellectual skills. Students are encouraged to set their own learning goals and reflect on their progress. The teacher's role shifts from authority to figure. Facilitator, someone who guides discussions, creates opportunities for exploration and foster collaborative learning experiences. This style places strong emphasis on social and emotional learning, giving students opportunities to build empathy, cooperation and self-awareness. Activities often center on group projects, peer learning and problem-solving tasks that require listening, compromise and respect for differing perspectives. Classrooms become relational spaces where learning happens through interaction, shared experiences and mutual support. Cooperative learning strategies such as team problem solving or peer teaching are a natural fit in this model, helping students not only master content but also strengthen interpersonal skills. These experiences promote positive peer relationships, a sense of belonging and a supportive classroom community. By prioritizing student-directed learning, humanist pedagogy works toward the broader goal of cultivating lifelong learners, individuals who are motivated, self-reflected and capable of critical and creative thinking beyond academic achievement. This approach prepares students to navigate real-world social challenges with confidence and empathy. A common phrase that captures this is, the teacher step back and the student step forward. Student-centered practices in a humanistic classroom. Students are active participants in their learning. They are encouraged to set their own learning goals, work at their own pace, explore topics they care about. How is the teacher's role? Not as strict counselor of content but as a guide and facilitator. They provide resources, feedback and most importantly, emotional support. When students are given autonomy, they develop intrinsic motivation, deeper understanding, independent thinking. And those are the exact skills we want to nurture for real world success. Imagine a BS psychology class where instead of jumping into slides, the teacher starts with, think about the last time you felt really nervous and what was happening in your body and mind. Students share moments before a presentation. These real experiences become the entry point to a lesson on anxiety and stress responses. In a cognitive psychology lecture, groups choose how to study memory. One designs a simple recall experiments, other test classmates with word list, while other compare short-term and long-term memory using songs. The teacher moves between groups, asking probing questions like, why do you think certain words stick better than others? During an abnormal psychology class, students watch a short film clip portraying obsessive compulsive disorder. Instead of the teacher explaining symptoms, each group identifies behaviors linked them to DSM 5 criteria and presents findings. In a research methods course, students set their own mini projects. Some observe behavior in their campus cafe, others design surveys on the study habits. They set deadlines, collect data, and reflect on challenges. By giving BS psychology students freedom to explore concepts through lived examples, the classroom turns theory into meaningful hands-on learning. Now let's take this a step further, because humanism is not just about academics. It's about nurturing the whole student emotionally and socially too. Social and emotional learning and positive education. Humanism recognizes that students learn best when they feel safe, seen, and supported. That's where social and emotional learning comes in. Social emotional learning helps students understand and manage their emotions, build positive relationships, make responsible decisions. For example, daily check-ins, empathy building exercises, and emotional vocabulary lessons are part of social and emotional learning. Some students also use positive education, a blend of academic, teaching, and emotional well-being. Practices like mindfulness, gratitude journals, or goal-setting routines. These tools not only improve learning, they boost mental health, resilience, and long-term happiness. Imagine walking into a classroom where the first thing your teacher asks is, how are you feeling today? Really, not as small talk, but as a genuine check-in. In one high school psychology class, students start each morning with a 2-minute feeling circle. Everyone shares one emotion they are experiencing, and classmates practice active listening without judgment. Over time, even the shyest students begin to open up. In another scenario, a middle class school teachers run a weekly empathy role play. Students pair up and act out situations like a friend being excluded from a group or someone failing is big test, then switch roles to see the other perspectives. It sparks deep conversations about kindness and fairness. In a positive education activity, a college level psychology student keeps a gratitude and growth journal. Each week, they write down 3 good things that happened and one personal goal. When final roll around, students report feeling easy and more focused. Another example, Our teacher ends each Friday with compliment cards where students anonymously write one kind note to a classmate. It's small gesture, but the boost in confidence and sense of belonging is a huge and exactly what social and emotional learning aims to create. So far, we have looked at personal growth, but humanistic classrooms also value community and connection. Let's now explore how group learning supports humanistic goals, cooperative learning, and group models. Humanism encourages cooperative learning, where students grow with each other. Think of methods like jigsaw strategies, where each student learns one piece of a topic and teaches it to the group. Project-based learning, where teams solve real-life problems collaboratively. These approaches foster teamwork, develop communication and empathy, build respect for different perspectives. For instance, when students from diverse backgrounds work together on a community project, they do not just gain knowledge, they gain understanding and connection. Cooperative learning reinforces the core message of humanism. Learning is most powerful when it's personal and shared. Imagine walking into class and instead of the usual lectures, you find four different tables with big sheets of paper, colored markers, and a list of interesting psychological topics. The instructor says, "Today, you are the experts." This is the jigsaw strategy in action. Each group studies one aspect, such as Maslow's hierarchy, then rotates to teach their part of others. Students quickly realize they are not just absorbing facts, they are depending one on another to piece of puzzle together. In another class, project-based learning takes the spotlight. Psychology students are asked to design a mental wellness program for first year college students. One team interviews campus counselor, another researches stress statistics, while another develop workshop materials. When they present, the ideas are richer because they are shaped by multiple perspectives. Then there's the cross-cultural empathy exercise. Students role play as clients from different backgrounds, while classmates practice active listening and culturally sensitive questioning. The feedback is immediate and personal. When you phrased it that way, I felt truly heard. In each of these scenarios, knowledge grows alongside trust, empathy, and respect. The humanist classrooms is not just about what you learn and who you become together. Providing that learning is most powerful when it's personal, shared, and deeply connected. We will summarize everything we have covered and see why humanism remains such a vital part of modern education. So, what can we take away from today's session? Humanism reminds us education goes beyond tests. It nurtures minds, emotions, relationships, and potential. Valuing student voice and growth builds meaningful learning. Guided by Maslow and Rogers, educators can apply these principles to classroom management. Thank you for being part of this session on the humanistic approach. I hope it helped clarify the core concept of humanism in educational psychology. Assalamu alaikum and goodbye for now.